The church bells rang out in a frenzy, tearing through the air, each chime echoing through the grand, gold-gilded cathedral. The ceiling soared high above its domes, adorned with angelic frescoes, bathed in the glow of hundreds of flickering candles. Beneath the crystal chandelier, the marble floor mirrored glittering gowns, polished leather shoes, and eyes full of longing, eager to witness the defining moment of the city's most prestigious family. Today was the wedding of Eleanor Whitmore, the beloved daughter of the Whitmore dynasty, a family that owned a vast empire of real estate hotels and banks. This wasn't just a private ceremony, it was a declaration of power. Every guest understood this was an occasion where opulence, authority, and honor would be displayed for the world to see. Music swelled, white silk ribbons cascaded from the ceiling. The scent of lavender and orchids filled the air. Ladies in resplendent gowns whispered among themselves, diamond-studded fingers toying with glasses of crimson wine. Gentlemen in crisp black suits sat upright, eyes gleaming with anticipation, awaiting the bride's entrance. And then the moment arrived. The grand wooden doors, intricately carved, slowly creaked open. Light from outside spilled in as if another realm had breached the sanctuary. The room held its breath. Everyone believed Eleanor, radiant in a flawless white wedding gown, would appear an image of perfection the world revered. But it wasn't Eleanor. A small figure emerged in the doorway. A young woman dressed in a plain worn dress, its hem frayed and seams unraveling. Her hand clutched that of a skinny little girl with hastily tied hair and shoes worn down at the heels. Silence gripped the cathedral, then scattered whispers, then cutting laughs. Oh God. Even the nanny dares to walk in here. Look at that dress like she crawled out of a dumpster. What a disgrace. A stain on the most distinguished wedding of the year. The murmurs spread like wildfire across the room. People turned in their seats, chairs scraped against the floor, and hundreds of eyes fixed on the white carpet aisle. The woman, Eliza, kept her head down, her tousled brown hair partially covering her face. Her hand trembled, but she held the girl's hand tightly. The little girl's eyes were wide and pure with a trace of fear. She didn't understand why people looked at them like they were intruders, like something unclean. Eliza gave a gentle squeeze as silent comfort, though her own heart pounded in chaos. The music played on, but now it sounded shrill, suffocating. Eliza's every step on the pristine carpet felt like a trespass, leaving traces everyone wished to erase. From the front row, Lady Whitmore leaned toward her husband, her voice cold as steel, shameful. Who allowed her in? Another gentleman sneered, his voice low, but loud enough for many to hear. A nanny will always be a nanny. She'd best not dream of stepping into our world. Eliza bit her lip. She tasted blood. She wanted to turn around, to disappear, but the small hand in hers held her back. Fragile yet firm. The whole hall closed in a wall of ice. Every glance, every snicker, every whispered insult pierced like a dagger. Eliza said nothing. She reached up to the old silver locket around her neck, the only relic left from a past the Whitmore family tried so hard to bury. Then she lifted her head, revealing her eyes for the first time. Eyes burning with pain and defiance. No one knew. The woman being humiliated at this very moment was the long-lost heir. The girl the family believed had died years ago. And when that truth erupts, it will shatter this cathedral to its core. This is only the beginning. Candlelight flickered against the ancient frescoes, casting dancing shadows of angels across the towering domed ceiling of St. Augustine's Cathedral. Giant marble columns rose like silent gods bearing witness to mortal affairs. The scent of lavender orchids and fresh white roses woven into archways lining the carpeted aisle mingled into a heady sweetness almost suffocating. Today the cathedral was a stage, and the Whitmore family, they were the masterminds behind the spectacle. The Whitmore dynasty, Whitmore a name etched into the city's history, a symbol of power and wealth. From their roots in real estate, the family had expanded into banking, hospitality, and even politics. The Whitmore presence loomed like a fortress on a hill. For them, a wedding wasn't about love. It was a statement, a drumbeat to announce we still rule above all. Seated in the front row was Lady Margaret Whitmore, the formidable matriarch behind the empire. Draped in a pearl-coloured silk gown, a rare pearl necklace around her neck, and white gloves cradling a feather fan, she was known for her icy demeanour. A single glance from her could make servants tremble. Beside her sat Arthur Whitmore, the family patriarch, gaunt-faced but sharp-eyed. He rarely spoke, letting Margaret be the family's mouthpiece. But one nod, one furrow of his brow, and lives could change. Their daughter Eleanor, the bride of the day, was hailed as the family's shining jewel, the golden beauty of high society raised to be a symbol of perfection. Her wavy blonde hair, icy blue eyes, and regal grace had been meticulously honed to make her a queen of the elite. Yet behind her smile, many whispered that Eleanor carried the arrogance of someone who had never been denied anything. The groom Charles Davenport was the only son of an old banking lineage. Handsome, polished, but his eyes were as cold as if he was signing a contract, not stepping into marriage. Everyone knew this union wasn't about love. It was an alliance, a merger of power between two dynasties. The guests. The guests were the upper crust, senators, bankers, investors. Each one a hawk watching, waiting for a misstep that might reveal a crack in the Whitmore facade. They didn't just come to witness, they came to assess whether the Whitmores were still dominant or on the decline. Their smiles were laced with calculation. Conversations flowed with mentions of deals, stocks, and political favours. To them, the wedding was merely an excuse to talk business. The disruption. Eliza arrives. And then amid the grandeur, Eliza entered. She was such a stark contrast, it was almost blinding. A faded cotton dress, seams fraying as if announcing her poverty. Worn shoes thudded heavily against the marble floor. Her face was drawn skin weathered from days of labour under the sun. Her brown hair was tied hastily, a few strands escaping to hide part of her brow. But what unsettled the crowd wasn't just her appearance. It was the audacity a woman like her stepping into this sacred space. Eliza kept her head down, eyes averted as if hoping to disappear. But the small hand clutched in hers, that of a 10-year-old girl named Sophie, kept her grounded, pulling her forward. Sophie had eyes that were bright and sad. Eyes that had seen more than any child should. Her naturally curly brown hair bounced lightly with each step, her simple blue dress modest and clean. She held onto Eliza like she was her only safe harbour. While every gaze screamed disdain, Sophie looked at Eliza with unwavering trust. The shadow of the past. No one here remembered, or rather they chose to forget, that Eliza had once belonged to this very family. Years ago, a tragic event had caused her to vanish. The family declared her dead, but she lived like a ghost, invisible. The tarnished silver locket around her neck was the only remnant of her past, a keepsake from her late mother. To Eliza, it wasn't jewellery, it was a lifeline, a symbol of who she truly was. The contrast. On one side stood Eleanor, dazzling in a crystal-studded wedding gown worth a fortune, surrounded by a coterie of glamorous bridesmaids. On the other, Eliza, a mere nanny in the eyes of the elite, viewed as a blemish allowed in only because a child held her hand. It was a picture of brutal contrast, extravagance versus humility, power versus vulnerability, celebration versus humiliation. The whispers. "Who does she think she is?" sneered a woman in a crimson dress. "Unbelievable. A nanny walking into this cathedral. What will the press say tomorrow?" a senator muttered to his companion. "We should have her thrown out," Lady Margaret hissed through clenched teeth, eyes blazing. Eliza heard it all, but she didn't react. Step by step, she walked on, clutching Sophie's hand, holding herself steady in the storm. Inside, memories stirred, memories long buried. A family, a home, a life stolen. And there, in this very place, the ones who took it all were smiling, toasting. A breathless moment. Music echoed, murmurs spread, eyes pierced like needles. The cathedral seemed ready to devour her. And then a gust of wind swept through the main doors. Candles flickered. White drapes fluttered. A strange sound rose within Eliza like a war drum pounding. She stopped, raised her head, and in her eyes there was fire. No one knew that the woman they mocked held a secret powerful enough to bring the Whitmore dynasty to its knees. And soon, very soon, that truth would rise. This was only the beginning. The music inside the cathedral softened. The violins eased into a gentle symphony, signaling the start of the main ceremony. Guests gradually returned to their gilded seats. Everything moved like a rehearsed play, every glance, every gesture perfectly in character. But there was a blot on the canvas. A stain named Eliza. Eliza and Sophie sat at the very back near the doors, the seats for the unimportant, the uninvited. Sophie tugged gently on Eliza's sleeve. "Are you sure we should be here?" Eliza gave a strained smile and held the girl's hand tighter. "We'll just sit quietly. No one will notice." But that couldn't have been further from the truth. A platinum-haired bridesmaid walked past, eyeing Eliza from head to toe with the contempt of someone spotting a stain. Unbelievable. A nanny at a Whitmore wedding who even let you in. Eliza bowed her head in silence. Up front, Eleanor turned around and caught the scene. A smirk curled on her lips. Not a smile of joy, but the grin of someone who took pleasure in seeing others brought low. Within minutes, whispers rippled down the rows. "What's she doing here? Looking for a new job? Heard she's an out-of-work nanny. Probably just here for a free meal. God, look at that dress. Must have borrowed it from a shelter." Each comment felt like a needle piercing skin. Sophie turned face, flushed with anger. "Don't say that Miss Eliza's not like..." But Eliza gently placed a hand on the girl's shoulder, shaking her head. Her eyes softened as if to say, "It's all right. Let them talk." Inside, though, something smouldered. Not long after Lady Margaret Whitmore descended the aisle. Her heels clicked sharply on the marble floor like a judge's gavel. The crowd fell silent. She stopped just short of the last row and leaned down just enough to meet Eliza's eyes. "I don't recall our family sending you an invitation." Her voice was cold as a blade. Eliza rose, head lowered. I'm only here with Sophie. I didn't mean to cause trouble." Margaret offered a thin smile laced with disdain. "With her, I wasn't aware that failed nannies had the right to enter this place, but no matter, it's a joyful day. Let's call you an amusing decoration." Laughter erupted. It echoed through the cathedral like crashing waves. Eliza gripped Sophie's hand and sat down, her face flushed. Later during the reception in the grand hall, guests migrated to long tables draped in lace crystal glasses, neatly arranged champagne flowing. Eliza sat quietly in a corner, praying to go unnoticed. But Eleanor had already seen her. The proud bride in her crystal wedding gown approached, her voice sweet but laced with venom. "Oh, look, a surprise guest, Eliza, isn't it? I've heard you're great with children. So why not lend us a hand?" Before Eliza could respond, a server placed a tray of champagne flutes into her hands. "Take this, hurry." Laughter burst from the bridesmaids. A few guests clapped at the cruel joke. Eliza flushed deep red. Her body stiffened. But Sophie clutched her skirt, eyes filled with worry. With no choice, Eliza bit her lip, lifted the tray, and walked through the hall under mocking stares. Each step felt like walking on stones. Laughter trailed her like smoke. A few men deliberately blocked her path to watch her stumble. Someone accidentally knocked a glass over red wine, splashing across her dress. "Careful there, Nanny!" Eleanor's voice rang out like bells, sharp and bright. Sophie couldn't take it anymore. She ran forward and threw her arms around Eliza, shouting, "Stop laughing. She's not your servant." The hall went silent for a beat. Then louder, crueler laughter followed. A woman whispered behind her hand, "Poor thing. Can't even raise a child properly." Lady Margaret stood and clapped slowly, demanding order. "Enough. Let's not turn this celebration into a circus. Eliza, I think your place is out there." She nodded toward the door. Eliza glanced around. Hundreds of eyes stabbed into her. Sophie sobbed, clinging to her waist. Inside Eliza, old pain surged. Memories of being cast out by this very family declared dead, tossed onto the streets in the cold rain, rose like bile. The shame, the raw humiliation returned. They wanted her gone again. Silent, defeated, But Eliza tightened her grip on Sophie. In the girl's eyes burned a small flame. No, she wouldn't fall. Not in front of this child. Tears welled, but Eliza lifted her chin. "I will leave when the ceremony ends, not before." A murmur spread. The words weren't loud, but loud enough to shake the room. Lady Margaret narrowed her eyes, then laughed a low, cutting sound. "Fine. Enjoy your final minutes here." The humiliation didn't stop. A guest called her over to wipe wine off his shoe. A woman accidentally slid a platter into her. Laughter, glares, whispers, like a storm closing in. Eliza clenched her teeth, trembling, but she never let go of Sophie's hand. The night wore on. Music played. Candlelight shimmered. On the surface, everything gleamed, but underneath a storm gathered. Eliza was the prey pushed further to the edge step by step. None of them knew Lady Margaret Eleanor. The guests that with each mocking laugh, each cruel whisper, they were weaving the very rope that would one day strangle their own legacy. Before the ceremony began, Eliza stood quietly in a shadowed corner. Her fingers gripped the silver locket around her neck. Her eyes burned. Deep inside, she knew the moment of truth was near. The church bells rang long and low, echoing through every vaulted arch. Candlelight flickered across the marble pillars and cast warm hues onto the vibrant stained glass. Eleanor, radiant in her crystal-studded gown, walked into the center aisle beside the groom Alexander. Every step, every note of music felt like a triumphant march, proof of the Whitmore family's ultimate victory. The guests watched in silent awe. Only in the back row, nearly swallowed by shadow, sat Eliza and Sophie, two small figures lost in a sea of light. Sophie clung to Eliza's hand, trembling slightly. "Miss Eliza, are they really going to make us leave?" Eliza squeezed her hand tighter, whispering, "Trust me." As the priest prepared to speak the blessing, Lady Margaret suddenly rose. Her voice cut through the air and bounced off the high ceiling. "Stop." Every head turned toward her. Margaret pointed directly at Eliza. "Before this ceremony continues, I won't allow that stain to tarnish my family's joy. You there, stand up." The hall erupted in whispers. Eleanor smiled smugly as though she had been waiting for this exact moment. Eliza stood holding Sophie close. Margaret sneered, "You don't belong here. Get out, now." A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement. Others leaned forward, eager for the drama. Eliza said nothing. Her face was pale, but in her eyes a fire began to stir. Sophie gasped, then suddenly shouted, "Don't send her away, she's the real heir." The clear, innocent voice rang through the hall like a bell. Eliza quickly pressed a hand to Sophie's lips, but it was too late. Hundreds of eyes had already fallen on the silver locket at her neck. The crystal chandelier cast a beam of light onto the pendant. The engraved symbol, a silver lily, was unmistakable. It belonged only to direct heirs of the Whitmore family. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Then an elderly guest whispered, "Impossible. That's Lady Helena's keepsake. Her daughter. Disappeared 15 years ago." The air shifted. Whispers spread like wildfire. Margaret's face blanched. She stepped forward, her voice snapping silence. "It's a cheap forgery, don't let it fool you." Eleanor, rattled but still trying to appear composed, chimed in exactly. "Some penniless nanny claiming to be a Whitmore. How ridiculous." But Eliza no longer bowed her head. She gently let go of Sophie, lifted the silver locket and held it up to the candlelight. Her voice trembled but rang clear. "This isn't fake. My mother placed it in my hand on the last night before she died." A stunned silence fell over the room. Then a rough voice rose from the middle rows. I remember her. Heads turned. It was James, the old butler who had served the Whitmores for 4 decades before Margaret dismissed him. He stood shakily, tears in his eyes. The child in Lady Helena's arms that night. It was her. That scar on her left cheek, there's no mistaking it. He pointed a trembling finger at Eliza. "She is Eliza Whitmore, the heir they declared dead." The room exploded. Gasps. Murmurs, disbelief. The heir? But they said she died. God, if this is true. Margaret staggered back. Eleanor clung to Alexander's sleeve, her face unraveling in panic. Eliza stood firm, breathing hard but eyes blazing. "Yes, I am Eliza Whitmore. You stole my childhood, erased my name from the family tree, turned me into a ghost. But I didn't die. I survived. And now I've come back." Her voice sliced through the air like a blade. Margaret tried to recover, shouting, "Don't believe her. This is a scam." But James stepped forward and produced a worn letter sealed with silver wax bearing the lily emblem. "A letter from Lady Helena. I've kept it all these years. She told me if Eliza ever returned, I was to give this to her." He opened the letter. The trembling script was clear. If you are alive, Eliza, keep this locket. It is proof you belong to the Whitmore bloodline. Never let anyone make you believe you are unworthy. Silence blanketed the hall. No one dared breathe. Eliza took the letter, her hands shaking. A tear slid down her cheek, but her voice was steel. You wanted me silent forever. But today, before God and all these witnesses, I speak the truth. I am Eliza Whitmore, the heir you tried to bury. It felt like an explosion echoed inside every person present. The organ music stopped. The air thickened like the entire cathedral had stopped breathing. Margaret stammered, No, it can't be. Eleanor stepped back, face ashen eyes wide with horror. And Alexander the groom stared at Eliza, his face shifting from confusion to shock. Eliza, it's really you. I heard stories, but... Eliza turned to him, eyes fierce. Yes, I lived in the shadows for too long. Not anymore. The crowd erupted. Some stood stunned, unable to believe the history they had just witnessed rewriting itself. Eliza stood there, bathed in candlelight, no longer the poor nanny, no longer the outcast. She was the rightful heir, and in that moment, the balance of power in the great hall tipped in her favour. Margaret and Eleanor were speechless, frozen in place. A new chapter had begun where the cruel ones trembled and justice finally began to stir. The sacred space of the wedding now felt more like a courtroom. Whispers swirled, chairs scraped against the stone floor, breaths came sharp and fast, all merging into a rising tide of chaos. Eliza stood tall, the silver locket glowing in her hand, her mother's letter clutched tightly to her chest. Margaret trembled, eyes wild, but she still shouted to drown out her fear. Don't believe her. She's an imposter. She's here to destroy this family. Eleanor gripped her mother's hand, but even her voice shook. She's been dead for years. This is a stunt to steal everything that belongs to me. But their protests were drowned by the storm of doubt now spreading through the crowd. James the butler, eyes red with emotion, stepped forward. No, I saw Lady Helena holding Eliza in her arms. That night when the fire broke out, everyone believed they both perished. But I found other signs. And after Margaret dismissed me, I kept this letter, waiting for the truth. A middle-aged woman in the crowd burst into tears. I worked as a nurse in the orphanage. I remember there was a little girl with a silver lily locket and a small scar on her left cheek. They said she was abandoned. My God, it was you? The entire hall fell into stunned silence. Two puzzle pieces clicked together, revealing a terrible truth hidden for 15 years. Alexander the groom was ghost white. He pulled his hand away from Eleanor's and asked, voice tight, Eleanor, what do you know about this? Eleanor panicked, clutching his arm. No, I didn't know anything. I love you. But Alexander's gaze turned cold. He stepped back and looked Eliza in the eye. If what they're saying is true, you're the rightful heir. A new murmur swept the crowd. Some guests, the powerful, the once indifferent, began to shift their stares from disdain to respect, from skepticism to reverence. Margaret laughed bitterly, a drowning woman clinging to the last reed. You think I'll let a bastard take the Whitmore legacy? I built this empire. Eliza's grip tightened around the letter, her eyes blazing. You built it on theft lies and the blood of others. But today it ends. James dropped to one knee and placed the letter and locket on the altar, like irrefutable evidence. The murmurs turned to an uproar. She hid the truth. We've been lied to all these years. Margaret's face drained of colour. She staggered as if the rage of the crowd had struck her down. Eleanor desperately clung to Alexander, sobbing, Please don't leave me. I love you. I'm the one who deserves to be your wife. Alexander shook his head, his voice full of contempt, Eleanor. You love no one but yourself. You used everyone to climb higher. He pulled off his wedding ring and tossed it onto the marble floor. The metallic clatter echoed like the sound of a dream shattering. Eleanor collapsed, her tears smearing her makeup, her wedding gown stained and crumpled as the crowd watched without pity. The same guests who once flattered Margaret now stepped away. A few powerful men whispered, If Eliza is the true heir, we should align with her. A noblewoman bowed lightly to Eliza. One by one, others followed. Margaret trembled uncontrollably, lips turning blue. Eliza didn't lift her chin in pride, but with tears shimmering in her eyes, she knew the truth had finally been seen. She spoke, her voice a blend of pain and resolve. 15 years ago, a fire consumed the Whitmore estate. They declared me dead, but it wasn't an accident, it was a plot. The one who erased me from my own family was you, Margaret. The air tensed. Margaret screamed, "Enough lies, all lies." But James stepped forward, placing a hand on his heart. "I heard you that night. Let the girl die. No one will speak of her again." I stayed silent out of fear, but today I won't anymore. An invisible shockwave pulsed through the room. The final truth had been spoken. Margaret collapsed into her chair, eyes wide broken. Eleanor sat crumpled on the ground, her gown dirty, her hair undone. No one stood with them. All who once bowed now turned away. Tonight, on the day they believed would mark their triumph, they lost everything. Eliza stepped forward, lifting Sophie into her arms. Her voice rang out. "I was once called worthless, mocked, cast aside, but I no longer need your approval to know who I am. I am Eliza Whitmore, and I will live for truth, for justice, for this child, and for all who've been wronged like I was." Applause thundered through the hall, bouncing off stone columns and stained glass. Tears welled in many eyes, and the final image etched into everyone's mind. Margaret slumped pale, shaking like a shattered statue. Eleanor sobbing on the floor, her bridal gown a ruin. Alexander bowing his head before Eliza, whispering, "I'm sorry for not seeing you sooner." The entire hall had witnessed a resurrection, truth, revived justice restored, and the wicked finally brought to light. The applause slowly faded, replaced by a strange stillness. The grand hall, bathed in the vibrant colours of stained glass, now glowed with the soft amber light of late afternoon, gentle golden rays slipping through every crevice. The crowd, those who once whispered, judged and scorned Eliza, now bowed their heads before her. No more sarcasm, no more doubt, only silence like an unspoken rite of recognition. Eliza held Sophie close. The child nestled into her shoulder, eyes fluttering shut, as if she had finally found the safest arms in the world. In that moment, Eliza felt her heart begin to heal, one wound at a time. Margaret slumped in her chair, eyes vacant. The woman who once commanded fear and held power like a crown now looked like a ghost. Everything. It was all mine. How could this be? She whispered, voice shaking. But no one responded. No servants rushed to her side. No friends stood by her. The once smiling faces around her had turned away, cold, indifferent. And Margaret realized the cruelest truth: she hadn't just lost power, she had lost the fear she once inspired. With her secrets exposed, she was nothing but an old body and a hollow reputation. On the cold marble floor, Eleanor sobbed, clutching the hem of her soiled wedding gown. Alexander stood over her, gaze hollow. "You lied. You let your mother poison everything we had," he said, voice rough. Eleanor broke down. "I just wanted to be happy. I didn't want to lose you." But Alexander shook his head. The wedding ring lay on the floor, silent, gleaming final. He turned and walked away, leaving Eleanor crying behind him. Everyone watched, but no one offered comfort. Her tears no longer moved anyone born as they were from deceit. An elderly woman stepped forward, once a dear friend of Eliza's mother. Her eyes were wet with tears. "I was wrong. You're Helena reborn. She must be so proud of you," from above. Others followed, bowing their heads in turn. They spoke her name with reverence, Miss Whitmore. Lady Whitmore, the true heir. Eliza felt a lump rise in her throat. After years of humiliation, she no longer needed to scream to prove herself. She only needed to stand, and truth spoke for her. As the room celebrated, Eliza walked toward Margaret. Everyone held their breath. She looked down at the woman who had tried to erase her, but in Eliza's eyes there was no hatred, only exhaustion and pity. "I will not become you. I won't answer hate with hate. You wanted me gone, but I will live to prove you were wrong." Margaret looked up. Her eyes clouded with bitterness. She wanted to scream, but she couldn't, because Eliza had won, not just with truth, but with grace. Sophie looked up, her voice soft, innocent. "Mama Eliza, does this mean we have a home now?" The hall froze. Tears slipped down faces. A child once orphaned, a nanny once scorned, now a symbol of hope. Eliza pulled her in tighter. "Yes, From now on, you'll never be alone again. And in that moment, everyone understood Eliza's true power wasn't in her bloodline. It was in her love, in her protection of the vulnerable. The very thing Margaret had never known. Music rose slow, swelling, then soaring. The imaginary camera panned wide. Margaret sat frozen, consumed by shadow. Eleanor wept, her white dress now a prison of her own making. Alexander walked away alone, but resolute. Eliza carried Sophie, stepping through the grand doors. The sunset poured over them, casting a blazing halo around their silhouettes. A final cinematic frame from darkness to light, from vengeance to forgiveness, from a faked death to true rebirth. We may be scorned, rejected, treated as invisible, but truth never dies. Goodness may come late, but when it arrives, it shines brighter than anything else. Eliza proved that courage and love can overcome any scheme, any lie. And that forgiveness is the final triumph. If this story moved you, leave a comment below. Do you believe the truth always finds its way into the light? Don't forget to share this video to inspire others, and hit subscribe to join us on more journeys through the stories that stir the human soul. After all the chaos, the small village surrounding the estate slowly returned to its usual rhythm. Dawn broke gently, and the first rays of sunlight streamed through the window, casting a golden hue across Eliza's face. There were no more scornful glances, no more cruel whispers. She walked down the long corridor, her steps light as if she had finally been set free. Sophie ran ahead, her hair flying, laughter echoing in the quiet halls. The child once called a burden was now a symbol of hope. Eliza watched her heart swelling with emotion. Every hardship had led her to this place right where she was meant to be. Something strange had begun to happen. Those who once looked down on her now approached quietly, offering small nods. No grand apologies, but their eyes had changed. And sometimes silent acknowledgement carries more weight than 1,000 words. Alexander appeared not with his former pride, but as a man stripped down to sincerity. He placed a hand over his heart and bowed slightly. Eliza, thank you for teaching me that real worth isn't found in titles, but in how we treat each other. Eliza only smiled. She didn't need promises anymore. She was strong enough to stand on her own. Margaret disappeared from the town, carrying her shame. Eleanor withdrew into silence. The once proud now had to face the cost of their choices, but Eliza didn't dwell on them. For her, that darkness had closed. What mattered now was the future, the one she and Sophie would build free from fear and hiding. The final shot fades in. Eliza sits under an old tree, Sophie leaning her head on her shoulder. The wind blows gently, carrying the scent of wildflowers. A narrator's voice comes in, warm and steady, like a message just for the listener. There are people the world sees as small, weak, disposable, but sometimes they're the ones holding the key to change everything. Eliza showed us you don't need power to be strong or wealth to deserve love. Hold on to kindness and the light will find its way to you. A pause, a moment of silence. Then the voice returns closer, like speaking directly to the viewer. If this story moved you, leave us a comment. What do you believe is stronger, money power or kindness? Share this video with someone who might need its light. And don't forget to subscribe so you can join us for more stories where every tear, every smile carries the power to heal.